Hello and welcome to Trying Times. Also, Happy New Year. If you're new here, then New Year. Happy New Year. If you're new here, I just want to be the first to say welcome. We're kind of besties now. I hope you're having an amazing day, morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this. I hope you're having a great one. And I'll introduce myself. My name's Carmen. I host this show that basically talks about all the trying times that we experience in life. Some of those can be sentimental, some of those can be embarrassing, some of them might be a little bit funny. It's kind of like a range of really whatever. But that's what this show is. And so I appreciate you being here and joining me and sharing your time. For the very first episode of 2026, I wanted the first episode to be something that focuses on small things, details in particular. For instance, coming just out of the holidays, I noticed something really special about how we tend to attach meaning to the smallest of details and to the smallest of things. And that can be in routine, it can be in tradition, it can be in anything. But I think it's amazing how, as humans, we attach this sort of like comfort to everything, or we might find comfort in things. So that's what this episode's gonna be about. I think this could range from so many different instances, whether it be the change of a season, a song that we replay during a specific moment, or a tiny memory that somehow becomes a core one without us realizing it in that very moment. And in this episode, I want to explore a little bit more about why exactly it is we romanticize little pockets of life, or also this sort of tendency that we have that actually helps us to feel sometimes more connected or grounded and human as a whole. So, yeah, it's kind of about the emotional weight that we place on moments that might seem simple on the surface, but sit with us much longer after they happen. And I find it's also sometimes grounding during a busy time like the holidays to have this sort of connection or this specialized moment, whatever you want to call it. I think it's something that's really different that we all experience in our own ways. And I mean, for me, for instance, like that could be with baking, it could be with being with friends and family, it could be honestly a certain candle scent, like it could be a number of things. It could be twinkly lights. There's so many things that we assign meaning to, and I think the holidays are heavily romanticized or comfort for some people in that sense because we all have our own tradition around it or our own assigned meanings towards it that make it very, very personal to each of us. And so, honestly, for me, I tend to be a very sentimental person in like my personal life. And I feel like this is something that I just had the tendency of doing for the longest time. I was like, oh, maybe it's just me. Maybe I get very emotional about things, or maybe I attach more meaning to things than there needs to be. But then I actually learned that there's a concept in psychology called emotional tagging. What is emotional tagging, you ask? Well, here, I'll be the first to tell you. And also, I'll be the first to say if you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop right here. So I am reading some notes off of it. So if you see me look down, that's why. But emotional tagging, it's basically this concept that describes how our brains attach strong emotional significance to certain sensory cues like a specific smell, a sound, or even a visual moment. I think somehow this kind of works into that moment in a way, maybe, how we all experience deja vu at some point in time. I feel like this could kind of connect to that. I have not done that research yet, so feel free to do that on your own. Maybe it does connect, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I have a feeling it might in some way. But basically what this says and what this shows from research at least, research has shown that music, for example, activates the hippocampus, so memory, and amygdala, so emotion, at the same time. And this is kind of why a single song can instantly take us to a memory, a time, a place that we might have forgotten about. And we don't realize it right away, but it kind of just pops up. And it could bring us to almost like a version of ourselves that we even forgot about. It's really special how that works, and it's really different. But I think for me, when I think about this example of music, I go immediately to Sweater Weather by The Neighborhood. I don't know. I think I've talked about The Neighborhood on here a few times. They're probably like my absolute favorite band. They have been since I was, I want to say 14 or 15, and I'm now 29. So they've been around in my life for a very long time. But every time I hear the song Sweater Weather, which was like their big single, and it kind of helped them really, really gain popularity, I remember hearing it for the first time ever as a teenager. And this means going back to a time when I was in high school. I was around a completely different group of people. I had completely different beliefs about the world around me, about myself, about so many different things. Like, I was very much a different version of myself to the person that I am now. And honestly, it's kind of amazing. Like, I feel as though from that era in time, it's very possible I've forgotten so much, or maybe I've lost meaning to a lot of things because I've just not prioritized memorizing things. Of course, you can't remember everything as a person, but I think especially those high school years, I've tuned a lot of it out to the point where I don't remember a lot of it. But when I hear this song, I still remember hearing it for the first time. I remember listening to it on repeat with headphones in when I was in class. Specifically, I want to say either an art or English class. So I was just working away at something and having that playing constantly. That's like a core memory for me. I don't remember much else of high school, but I do remember that, which is pretty crazy. And when you think about it in the same sense, even with seasons being ever changing, no two parts of the year are ever really the same. I mean, unless you're in a place that's just generally warm all the time. Here in Canada though, it is cold and then it gets really hot. But so I feel like the same way that the seasons change, there's shifts in daylight and lighting in general and temperature and routine. So many things can become emotional markers that help us almost track life transitions and memories over time. So kind of like I just said, the same way that I forgot so much of, I guess, like my high school experience, or if I think back on like my university experience, obviously I'm not going to be able to remember everything about it, but I know there are random times where like I'll think back on a memory, and a lot of the time that'll have to do something with either a person, a scent, a sound, something that helps me to, I guess in this concept, emotionally tag that moment in time or that era of time, and then it comes back to me. And I'll go ahead and add this on too, because it's 2026. There's a huge trend going around right now where people are posting photos and videos of themselves from 2016 now that it's officially been 10 years since 2016. That's so crazy to think about. And I'm going to keep not reminding myself that it's been 10 years. But a lot of people have been posting photos and videos from that era of time. I too have done that on my Instagram story. And it's crazy to see the difference and the change as like people. Obviously, yeah, in 10 years of time, of course, you're going to change as a human and things are going to change around you. But like going back and listening to a few songs from that point in time really brought me to specific core memories that I had in my university experience and in my experience of getting to live with one of my really good friends and just like that whole era. And it feels so far away, but it's really, really interesting to me how a song can pull me back into it as though it was just last week. It's kind of beautiful and it's also very sentimental. And I feel like for me, the biggest marker or emotional tagging experience, I know I said like scent, sound, people, those things still sound true for me, but I will say I think certain songs or seasons more so can transport me. And sometimes it isn't like about a big event in particular. It could be like a moment where I was walking home from somewhere, or it could be a specific outfit or how a place I visited many times might have felt on one specific day or on the most random day. And I didn't realize I do this a lot actually with outfits. Like if there's a very pivotal moment in time, and I think a lot of us do this maybe without realizing it. Of course, if you're going to a certain event, like if you're attending a birthday party, a wedding, whatever it may be, I think it's so natural to always remember that outfit to that event because it's just how it works sometimes for us. Or sometimes if you buy like, I don't know, a pair of shoes that you really love, or maybe you're gifted something like a perfume or jewelry, it's something that really sticks with you for a long time. I think sometimes the way that we can place almost articles to a time or a place or an experience, you can do the same thing with scents like perfumes, candles. I know for me, there are certain people in my life that I'm very close to who might wear a certain scent for a long enough period of time where I start to associate that sound with them. So I could be out and about and walking around a crowded city, and if I smell a similar perfume, then I'm like, oh my God, I suddenly think of them. And I think that that's such an interesting thing how we just do that as people. And I think going a little bit more off of the piece of certain songs or music or artists, there's like different eras for different artists for me in my life too, that can help to mark different moments or different ages, or like I said, eras, like so many different things. So for me, there was like Brockhampton when I was in university, and I went to a school literally called Brock. So that was just like a very all encompassing moment for me. I think for like 2 of the years out of the 4 that I was there, which is pretty crazy. And then when I was in high school, a huge thing for me was obviously the neighborhood, as I just said. Arctic Monkeys was like another really big one for me. And anytime I listened to specific songs or albums in their earlier years by either of those bands, I immediately remember that time or like where I was when I heard certain songs. And that's so fascinating. And so I could sit here and do this with like every artist that I like, definitely, because I think there's certain artists that I'll remember from certain phases and certain times in life. But it's really special. And I think that's so cool how without realizing it, we just do that as people. It's just a thing that our brains pick up on. And we don't really realize it until we're sitting down like this to analyze it. So I think it's oddly like a very, I don't want to say oddly. I find that there's something healing in letting small things like this carry meaning. And I think in some ways it kind of helps to soften life because everything realistically is quite unpredictable and you can never be fully prepared for anything all of the time. That's something I'm starting to learn. And that is somebody who's an over preparer with everything. So I think sometimes having these sort of emotional tags or these things that can help us connect to moments and stay grounded is just so beautiful and it's so nice. I feel like it kind of gives us something to look forward to as well. And it's like a very core memory, but also something that's very grounded when things might tend to feel overwhelming or uncertain, which can be a lot of the time. So I think it's really nice. And I think for me in particular, romanticizing little moments has always helped to slow down and notice my life instead of rushing past it, which is something that I'm very guilty of a lot of the time. And I think a lot of people are, especially during times that can feel a little bit like harder to ground yourself in. I think having these anchors, in a way, I like calling them anchors maybe, could be nice. And it makes sense why we romanticize certain things. I think a lot of people do this with artists and with music and different forms of art. And it makes sense to me why, because it's something that helps you slow down and appreciate things instead of just continuously rushing past it. And by it, I mean life, because we all tend to do it. So, as I like to share in every episode of this show, whether this is your first time listening or you've listened a few times, I always like to go into a little bit of a audience participation segment. And this year, I'm trying something different where I'm including voice clips from you guys, which is so fun. So for this episode, I actually have a voice clip from a friend who was sharing a little bit about a sound or a song or a scent that can place her into a memory and feels very transformative. So we're going to take a second to listen to that together and then chat about that.
Is there a song, scent, or place that instantly transports you to a memory? Yes. My grandpa used to use, oh my God, what's that? Irish Spring soap. So that reminds me of my grandpa. And then my grandma used like, those pond, it's called pond like powder. They even do like lotion. So that grandma yield smell, that's 100% very good memories, very cuddly, very cozy. Feels like a big hug. Sometimes a tear rolls down my eye because I miss them. But those scents definitely remind me of them. Sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes you walk into a building and it smells like what your elementary school smelled like. I don't know if that makes sense, but that happens and it like triggers a memory. Songs, yeah, like songs I used to listen to in high school either will trigger like a good memory or a bad memory or a memory that's like embarrassing. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what songs, and for some reason it's not coming to my head right now. Um, let me. I don't know. If I think of one, I'll put it in the in the place where I can leave like a message. But yeah, like high school dances. Oh, like No Air. I remember No Air was not even high school, middle school. I remember when that song played at school dances, it was wild. this isn't something that it says here, it's song, scent, or a place, but like a taste, like a food, certain food trigger memories, uh, like PB and J's always have triggered a memory of when I was younger. Same with cereal. Cereal does it. Specific cereals do it. My after it was like my after school snack, so it triggers whatever TV show I was watching at the time. After school, it would probably be like The Weekenders or like Arthur, Timothy Goes to School, them stuff. But yeah, food triggers it a lot, like random food. Yeah, yeah, like fried chicken for some reason reminds me of a specific birthday that I had where we ordered Popeyes. Just a random memory. Anyways, that's that.
Thank you so much to Jigisha for sharing that. I appreciate that. That was such a heartfelt and detailed answer. And honestly, that meant the world to me. That was so beautiful. I love that she touched on the scent of so many different people and places. So, the elementary school scent, I will say, is that is a canon event, I feel. Because when she said that, I actually was like, wait, yeah, no, why can't I actually like envision the smell that she's talking about? I think also, in a similar sense to how I mentioned people in my life wearing specific scents for a long time and then it becoming like their scent. I love that she brought that up with her grandparents as well. I think that that's so wholesome and it's such a wonderful way to hold that connection and keep it with you all the time. I think that that's so beautiful. The food piece was so good and I actually didn't think about that. I when I think about food and emotional tagging, I always assume like it has to be the act of I guess making food, but it really doesn't. And I just love that she was like, I think back to fried chicken and Popeyes from this one birthday that I had. And that just goes to show you how special that is for people in all different aspects of their life and how that transpires over time. And we might not even realize it in the moment, but years down the line, we might be like, oh my God, that was a really good time. I remember that. And it's just so special to think about it that way. And obviously, we don't realize it in the moment, but later on, it means the world. I think that's so cool. Also, the No Air shout out by Jordan Sparks was amazing. That song was so good and it was everywhere for good reason. I loved it. It was so good. Very much a core memory. So I love that shout out. Thank you, Jagisha. That was such a good voice clip. I love that. It was amazing. So good. I also have one more answer for this question, for this prompt, if you will, which I will add if you want to participate and send in your answer to certain prompts or participate by sending in a voice clip, you absolutely can by going to at the Trying Times podcast on Instagram and clicking on the link in bio. There will be a Google form there. Go click on it. And then you can select which questions you'd like to answer. And I'd love to hear from you. I'm so excited to say I also have one more answer from another friend, Peter. Thank you so much for participating and sharing your thoughts here. So, again, to the prompt, is there a song, scent, or place that instantly transports you to a memory? As for song, Peter shared Ethel Cain, Willow B. Tucker, I Will Always Love You. And then attached a video on a paddleboard too and said, this has been my most recent happy place I go to in my head when I need to remind myself there are better days ahead. Can't wait to be back there. That's so beautiful. And I love that. And that also goes to show with that one single prompt and that one thought of, okay, is there something that takes me back to a time or a place that I really enjoyed or that I experienced and I can't forget, or maybe it just comes up here and there and you don't realize it, whether that be fried chicken or a happy place that you think of often. This just goes to show there's so many different ways of approaching that. And I think that that's so beautiful. To round this up, I will say, I also saw a post on Reddit where a user once shared that they romanticize the little things because they're the things that actually help them in their life and end up being the things that they remember, not necessarily just the big milestones. They wrote about how lighting a certain candle, listening to their favorite playlist during a commute, and noticing the shift from summer to fall helps them stay present in a chaotic time. It's a reminder that they don't need huge life-changing events to feel something meaningful. Sometimes the smallest details become the ones we hold on to the longest. And that's so beautiful and it's so true. It's something that as I get older, I'm definitely learning as well over time. And it just is a great reminder to never take things for granted and to never let life just pass you by, because even if it might not feel like it, there's always something good happening whether it's right in front of you or somewhere else down the line. There's always something to look forward to. There's always something good happening. And yeah, I kind of want to leave this episode on that note. I can keep rambling, but I will leave it there because it's a very positive, light, soft note. And I hope that that helps shape your mindset towards this year. I know a lot of people probably have resolutions. I personally do not have a resolution. I just have little things I like to work on throughout the year. So whether you have a resolution or many little things you'd like to work on, I hope that you keep that in mind and know that good things are coming. If not, they're already here. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Again, if you want to reach out and chat with me at all, feel free to head over to Instagram at the Trying Times Podcast. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd love to participate in one of these episodes the same way that Jigisha and Peter did, feel free to visit our Instagram and click on the link in bio. And there's a Google form there that you can click on to participate. Can I say click any more times? Anyways, that's it. Thanks so much for spending your time with me and listening. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day whenever you're listening to this, and we'll chat again soon, okay? Bye.